video. This is like our fifth video this week, so we're getting a lot of content out for you boys. But today, we promised you guys of a series that we're doing. We did a part one of ceiling and floor, and so we are going to do part two today. And I'm not going to lie, we kind of did the trash conferences yesterday. Not that they're trash, but like, you get what I mean. Like the Big Ten and the
Not the
ACC are
superior
nowhere
ones.
near the Big 12 and the SEC this year. So it's going to be a lot more interesting in this video, to say the least. So
Yeah.
we are going to start it off with the Big 12. Let's see. We will start with. I'm not going to start Cincinnati and West Virginia because I feel like yesterday
They're
we kind
probably
of
not.
wasted
Yeah.
time on these garbage teams.
And
So
Cincinnati just got shellacked. So I think they're not even in the running for it anymore.
yeah. So let's start it off with the TCU Horned Frogs, who are, I don't know what they're projected. I think they're last four in, maybe last four
Yeah,
by.
I think they're last four in.
Anyways, they are a very interesting team, in my opinion. You look at their schedule, and the big thing that stands out is the win to Florida and the loss to New Orleans. So, two
Yeah.
very different teams, New Orleans and Florida, and they've had a lot of up and downs between that. So, this team is very weird. Obviously, we know that they're capable of beating any single team in the Big 12. They
Yeah.
are a better team in the Big 12, but at the same time, they can lose to Quad 4 team. So TCU, in my opinion, obviously can lose in the first four game. They're probably going to play in the first four game. I don't see how they win the Big 12 because they haven't been consistent all year,
Yeah.
and I don't think they will be consistent all year. But their ceiling, this is where it gets interesting because a lot of people are going to say they're going to do really well because they beat Florida, they beat Iowa State, and a lot of people are going to have them super high in their tournament. So I'm going to say I'm going to kind of ride up the people, man. I'm going to say that their ceiling is around the Sweet 16. I think that they can make the Sweet 16, which may be really stupid of me to say, but I love the 11 seed line. I've said it a million times. I think the 11 seed line is just the best seed line to play at if you're a lower seed in March Madness. So 11 seeds always do well in the tournament. I think this year an 11 seed will do well too. I don't know if it'll be TCU, but I have them as a ceiling in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think their ceiling is a Sweet 16. Obviously, the consistency thing is an issue for me as well. But I think that this team can shock a lot of people. Like you said, at the 11 spot, we've seen a ton of runs from teams who got the 11 seed. So I definitely think they're ceiling Sweet 16, but their floor, they can lose to anybody too. So I'm going to say their floor is first four, actually. I think there's a chance that they don't even make it out of there. But I do think that if they're able to get on a little hot streak there, they're going to be very difficult to beat.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we are moving on to a team. This is a team I've been waiting to talk about in this series so far. We are going to talk about the BYU Cougars. Now, I know you're not very high on them, so
Extremely.
I know you're going to be hating on them, but I kind of like them, man. They're obviously out of the pool. They are they still in the pool?
Yeah, they're 19 still.
Well, they're probably going to be out of the poll because I think they
Yeah.
lost to somebody this week. Who they lose to? They lost to UCF. That's right. Which
Yeah. They're
will
coming
drop them out
up.
of the
But they
poll.
play West Virginia today, so
Yeah,
if they can
obviously.
shellac West Virginia, I don't think they'll still be in because of how bad that UCF loss was, but they should probably fall out of the rankings after
Yeah,
that.
but obviously, you look at this team, and I mean, they play in the Big 12, one of the toughest conferences in college basketball, probably the toughest. And obviously, they've beaten Iowa State. They've beaten TCU, which TCU is in the same area as them right now. But they also lost to Arizona. They also lost to Kansas, I think. Yeah, they lost to Kansas. And they have a lot more Big 12 losses than wins that are actually noteworthy. Like, I don't care if you beat Baylor on Colorado; those teams aren't good. So, in my opinion, this team obviously has AJ DeBonza. They obviously have Robert Wright. They don't have Richie Saunders, which is going to make it tough. If they had Richie Saunders, I would say they could maybe make the Final Four, if I'm being honest. But Richie Saunders is a great player, and you can't really replace Richie Saunders. I'm not going to lie, man. So, BYU, this is another weird team, man, but I'm going to say their floor is around 64. I think that could easily lose in the round of 64, but probably be like a 6 or 7 seed. So if they play, I don't know who'd be like a 10 seed at the moment, but you get the point. And so I think though at their ceiling, I'm gonna say their ceiling could be Sweet 16 again. I just think they can make the second weekend of March, and they just have too much talent on their team to not succeed in the tournament. So pretty low floor, pretty high-ish ceiling. So that's where I'm at with them.
Yeah, I've obviously been pretty against BYU most of the season. They obviously have some good wins, but just not a huge fan of them overall. Um, I just think they're a really overrated team, especially after that shellacking they got by UCF. But again, I'll say it again. I think AJ DeBounce is the best player in the country, and I think he's going to go. He should go number one in the NBA draft, in my opinion. But who knows? Um, but yeah, this team's just too inconsistent, and they can lose to anybody. So I'm in complete agreement with you that their floor is the round of 64, and that the ceiling is the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
Because I mean, they just they can beat a good team like once every 4 tries. But once you get to the Sweet 16, if you get to the Sweet 16, you're playing a good team every single game, and I don't think they can do that consistently.
yeah, 100% agree. Alrighty, moving on to another team that is in this same region of BYU and TCU, fighting for positioning in the Big 12 tournament. It's the UCF Knights. Now, the UCF Knights have been the best story in college basketball, in my opinion. They've succeeded expectations, completely turned their basketball program around in one season practically, and like they just knocked off BYU. Obviously, they've had some other great wins too. They beat Kansas, and like this team is rolling. This team's really hot,
Yeah,
and with these hot teams, like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like they can go as far as possible, in my opinion. The sky's the limit for these red hot teams. So I look at VCU and their KenPom. Their defense is not very good, but their offense is borderline elite. It's like 30 or something, I think. So really solid team. This is going to be my biggest sleeper. I said it was going to be a sleeper going into our underrated video, and I still think that it's going to be a really scary team to look out for. So I have VCU's floor. Obviously, in the round of 64, they're probably not going to be any higher than a 9 seed, but their ceiling, I think it could be Elite Eight. Might be a really hot take, but a 10 seed is not bad positioning for the tournament, and they wouldn't have to play like an Iowa State. They wouldn't have to play a Duke until at least the Sweet 16. So, and if they get there, I don't know, they could maybe win. So I think their ceiling is the Elite Eight.
okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I just have a feeling that I just keep going. Every team's ceiling is a Sweet 16 for me, apparently, and every team's floor is the Rondo 64. But I just think UCF's playing really good, but they also have some not great losses. So to me, that raises some questions. But I definitely still think that this team is, like you said, one of the hottest teams in the game. But I just don't know if they can consistently keep this going, especially once they start playing legitimate teams every single game. Because you look this month, they've lost to Cincinnati and West Virginia, which are not great losses. I mean, Let me look here. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma State earlier this season. Uh, yeah. I mean, they're a good team. Uh, and a very inexperienced one, which is another thing to look at for me. So I definitely think that they can make a run and surprise a lot of people. But to me, I just don't know how consistent they're going to be able to be.
All right. Now we are moving on to the teams. In my opinion, these are teams that are just
These are the
better.
real ones.
These are the real ones that everybody is going to be picking in their first round, in their second round, probably. So we are going to start it off with the Red Raiders from Texas Tech. They are a very good team. Like, I don't care if they lost JT Toppin. They still got Anderson on their team. They got a good shooter. I'm trying to think of that guard. That's a really great shooter on their team. That's very underrated. But nonetheless, they've been kind of on a roll lately. They've beaten Kansas State, they've beaten Cincinnati, and they've really bounced back nice after that loss to Arizona State. And I think a lot of people are hating on this team for no reason. Like, this team may not have JT Toppin, but still a very good team. 16 at KenPom, 11 defense, 31, 11 offense, 31 defense. This team is going to surprise a lot of people. So I'm going to say their floor, they're out. I think they're going to be guaranteed to win their first round matchup. I think that around the 32 is a fair floor for them, but their ceiling is the Elite Eight, in my opinion. I think this is honestly a very underrated team, similar to VCU, and I think they're kind of in the same boat as VCU. So obviously, VCU did beat Texas Tech by like a couple points. So I think these teams are very similar, and yeah, I mean, if they had JT Toppin, I would have said they could maybe win a national championship, but they're still a very good team.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The big thing for me making this decision was JT Toppin's not here. If Toppin was here, I would say national championship game. I don't know if they would be able to win, but I would definitely be able to think that they could get there. But he's not there anymore. And this team's a really good team. They win consistently for the most part, but you lose your best player. That's never a good thing. You never want to lose your best player. And I feel like at the end of the day, you play a team like Duke, they have their best player. Arizona has their best player. Uh, all the national championship contending teams have their best player, except for Texas Tech. So I think the Elite Eight is a fair ceiling for them. But again, I agree that their floor is the round of 32. I don't see them losing in the first round, but anything's possible since it's March. But I'm pretty confident that they'll win their first round matchup if they get the right one.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, next up on the list is the Kansas Jayhawks, and obviously, you guys know that I don't like Kansas
Your
at all.
favorite team.
I just think Kansas is extremely overrated. I mean, they beat Houston. Congratulations, Houston is not a good basketball team anymore. I mean, maybe hot or not, I don't know, but I'm not on the Houston train. They obviously lost to Cincinnati. They obviously lost to Iowa State. They have a lot of bad losses that they should have won. They have like a lot of decent wins, but I just look at this team and they're not consistent at all. They're not. They don't have the same starting five even. So it's always different every day with Kansas with Darren Peterson. So and when he plays, I don't know. I don't know. I still think that might be worse when he plays.
Yeah,
Maybe
no, that's
interesting or not, but
statistically you're not wrong. Statistically, you are correct in saying that.
anyways, though Kansas is 15 in KenPom, 44 defense or 44 offense, 10 defense. Pretty good KenPom wise, but you just look at this team in a broader standpoint, and they are just not a consistent team at all. And in March, you got to be consistent if you want to win. So with that, I think Kansas's floor is going to be around 64. I think if they end up being like a 4 seed or a 5 seed, they're going to have a really tough matchup in the first round.
Yeah.
And I think there's a world where they could lose in the first round. I don't know if it's very likely, but some team's going to lose to an upset, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's Kansas this year. So their ceiling, I think, is a Sweet 16. They can get into the second week of March, but once they start playing the real teams, I don't think they can do anything once they play the real teams. So that's
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This Kansas team is just not very good. Darren Peterson is it's so weird because he's obviously a good player. I mean, he's obviously gonna be a top 5 pick in the draft. Uh, uh, but he doesn't really play. He just load manages half the time. Um, and ESPN just has this weird thing where they just continue to just glaze him for no freaking reason. And he's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not a team player. So he's kind of a locker room issue to me, from what it sounds like, which is obviously not what you want to go into March with. And like you said, they're extremely inconsistent. They just can't seem to do anything. They got shellacked by a mediocre Cincinnati team at home, which is obviously embarrassing. So for that, I have Kansas's floor as round of 64. They have a knack for losing in the first round as of late. Um, but I'm gonna say their ceiling is the Sweet 16 because they've been able to beat good teams like Arizona. Um, they play him again today, so that'll be interesting to see how the rematch goes when they actually have Darren Peterson playing. So I don't like Kansas at all, but I feel like if they can get the right matchups, they can make the Sweet 16. But they should not be put in the conversation with the best teams in the country.
100% agree. Next up, this is a team that has probably the lowest floor and the high ceiling. It's the Iowa State Cyclones. So, you want to start with this team?
Yeah, I'll start with Iowa State. I mean, I obviously, uh, I've been liking Iowa State this season. I understand they lost to BYU um, about a week ago, but I don't think that's every team loses. You're in the Big 12. You're going to lose some games, but they lost to an underrated TCU team who we already talked about. Um, they beat Kansas at home. Uh, hold on, I'm trying to find. They beat St. John's, which that's a whole thing. Apparently, they've beaten Purdue. This team is really good. Okay, this team I think is a national championship contender for sure. So I'm going to actually say that their ceiling is national championship. But I will say that their floor is tricky because Iowa State previous years has not really done fantastic, um, especially early on. But this team to me is really, really good. So I'm gonna say Iowa State's floor is gonna be the Sweet 16.
Interesting. So, obviously, with Iowa State, kind of similar to Purdue, they kind of blow tournament games as of lately. They obviously lost to. I'm trying to think who they lost to last year. It was some really bad team. It was like an 11 seed or an 8 seed. I can't remember who they lost to last year, but they were like a 2 seed last year, I think, and obviously
Here,
did not
I
exceed
can try to find it
expectations.
here. Iowa State. Where were they at? Who were they lost to Ole Miss
Yeah,
in
that's
the Sweet
right. Yeah,
16
that's right.
last year.
That's right. Anyways, they can lose tournament games pretty easily. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Obviously, this year though, they have Milan Musinovic, who's the best 3-point shooter in the game. They got Taman Lipsy, who's a great defender. I think the sky's really the limit, but the floor is pretty low with this team. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I think they are guaranteed to win their first round game because they're going to be like a 2 seed, and we've only had a handful of 15 seeds to be a 2 seed. It's pretty rare, not impossible, but very, very unlikely that a 15 seed beats a 2 seed, and I think they're guaranteed to be a 2 seed. So they're guaranteed to win their first round game. But when it comes to the second round, I'm not so confident that they could win the second round. They could, obviously, but it gets tricky once you get to the second round when you face like a 17 seed. So I think their floor is 32. Their ceiling is I think they can make it to a championship game. I don't think they can win it just because the top of the top is very stacked this year, in my opinion. It's really good. So
Hmm.
that's all I got.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's see who we got.
Houston.
Yep, let's do Houston. So Houston, I really thought they were. I'm going to start with this. I really thought they were a great team at the beginning of the year. I thought they were my honestly one of my favorites to win it. But as the season progressed, they've kind of fallen apart. I'm not gonna lie. So as of the last couple weeks, they've lost the last 3 out of their 4. They beat Colorado, but anybody can beat Colorado. Colorado is not a good basketball team. They're not, quite frankly, a good football team either. They're just bad at all Division One sports. So
Pretty much. Yeah.
I get you beat Colorado by 40, but I just don't really.
It's
I
not
just
saying too much.
it's not really yeah, it's not just saying too much. So, anyways, Houston, let's see where they're at in Ken Palm. Houston, 6, 16 offense, 8 defense. I mean, they got great guards. They got the best guard play in the country, in my opinion. Their big men are kind of lackluster, though. I like Joseph Tugler, but he is not a scorer on the block. He doesn't score you points down the block. And I have no idea who their power forward is. So that's that with Houston. So I think that like just due to not having big men on their roster and due to a lot of these teams having a lot of great big men like Florida, like Michigan, like all these top teams, I think Houston could get bounced out fairly early. I think their floor is a sweet 16 and their ceiling, I'm going to say their ceiling's an elite 8. So, that's that.
Okay. Yeah, this team, I still like Houston. I still think they're a good team. But that 3-game losing streak was a little concerning. I understand they lost 2 of the 3 games on the road, but it was one of them was to Kansas, and we just said Kansas is a very good team. So Houston's a weird team. Obviously they made it to the Natty last year, but it was, let's not forget, it was like 2 or 3 years ago they lost in like the first or the second round. So Houston kind of just has a knack to lose early on, like you said. So I'm gonna say their floor is the round of 30, or no, Sweet 16. Um, and the ceiling is going to be, I'm gonna say that they can make it to the Final Four. I think that
Mm,
they they'll be battle tested. They'll have the Big 12 tournament under wraps, depending on how well that goes. But I think they can make the Final Four again this year.
interesting. All right, we are at our last team in the Big 12, and we're saving the best for last, obviously. So it's the Arizona Wildcats who have really impressed me this season. I thought Arizona was going to be like a 4 or 5 seed coming into this tournament, like they usually do, and I just thought they were going to be nothing really special. So obviously, they've had a ton of big wins. They've definitely proven me wrong. Their only real loss this year was to Kansas, and yeah, so I mean they're a really good team. I can't really say anything bad about them because they've just been. I don't even know what their record is, but it's
They
very
lost to
good.
Texas
So
Tech too.
Texas Tech
They lost to a healthy Texas Tech team
is a very good team
in
too. So
overtime. So
I just have really high expectations for Arizona this year. The one downside though is they can't shoot the 3 pointer. Their 3 point percentage is really bad. It's around 30%, and obviously you got to be a good 3 point shooting percentage team if you want to win the championship. So
dude,
yeah,
did you see Notre Dame beat NC State?
are you kidding me?
Yeah. in overtime, bro.
Are you kidding me? Notre Dame beat NC State?
Notre Dame beat NC State.
Wow, that is
Crazy
embarrassing.
work.
Notre Dame beating NC State. That's insane.
Hmm.
Wow.
Crazy work.
Anyways, back to the Arizona topic. I think Arizona obviously could win it all. Their ceiling is winning it all. Jaden Bradley, Braden Burries have stepped up huge for this team. I really like them. But their floor, I think they have a pretty high floor too. I think their floor is the Elite Eight. So maybe a little bit too generous on the floor here, but I just think that obviously they're going to get a 1 seed, so they're going to have really easy matchups until the Sweet 16, unless it's
Hmm.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I completely agree. This team is really good. They've been proven to be a top 3 team in the country for sure. I don't really see many downsides to Arizona. The two of their losses, they lost to a really good team in Texas Tech when JT Toppin was there, and they lost to Kansas. Now, Kansas didn't have Darren Peterson, so obviously Kansas is better without Darren Peterson. So
That's true.
we'll see how they fare against Darren Peterson in Kansas today in about 45 minutes. But I have no doubt that I mean, if this might go crazy, but I have no doubt Arizona will beat Kansas with Darren Peterson. So
Mhm.
Arizona, to me, they're just a really, really good team overall. I'm not worried about them at all. Their ceiling is winning a national championship. Um, and I'm gonna say, yeah, their floor is Elite Eight. Just because you might get a really tough 2 seed to go up against. So like an Iowa State if they get a 2 seed or something like that. So
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have officially done 3 out of the 4 conferences. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of a long video, man. We've
yeah,
did
we've been
like
doing this for a half hour already.
half hour already. We did an hour yesterday, so like I mean, obviously we've
It's
done
just
like
gonna get longer, bro.
a lot of these teams.
The SEC is like gonna definitely be the longest one
The SEC,
because we can go all the way down practically, bro.
yeah, the SEC is obviously gonna have 11 teams in the tournament, and they're, I mean, really stacked. They have a lot of teams in a lot of different areas. So started off, I don't really want to mention this team, but we kind of have to. It's the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah.
Auburn is going to make the tournament probably because they play in the SEC. They play They play in a tough conference, but Auburn is not a good basketball team. Auburn is like 4-8 in quad one. I mean, Keyshawn Hall is a very good ball player, but this team just sucks. I'm gonna be honest. This team, if they get in, they'll be a first 4 team without a doubt. If they don't get in, they'll be a first team out. So this may be the older team that I say this, but Auburn's floor and ceiling is a first 4 game. That's their floor and ceiling.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean Auburn obviously high expectations after last season. But they've disappointed. They're 6-9 in conference play, which is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that they're still being talked about for a tournament spot at 15-13 is absolutely
Yeah,
atrocious. Um, but yeah, they're not a good team. They have beaten Florida, so I'll give them their props on that, I guess. But that was kind of when Florida was figuring things out. Uh, so I'm going to say their floor is the first 4. But with those first 4 games, you never really know what you're going to get. So I'm going to say their ceiling is round of 64.
yeah. I mean, there's a real possibility that if they lose their next 3 games, which I don't think
Yeah,
they'll lose to
they
Ole Miss or LSU, they could be the first team that has a losing record and gets a at-large bid. I don't think an at-large team has had a losing record and has made it. So that
yeah,
that could be
and
so
they
that could
they
be
still
something.
have the conference tournament too. So if they which they're probably going to get smoked in the conference tournament, so that might just knock them out completely.
Yeah. I mean, Ole Miss, I hope you can be Ole Miss. I think
Almost bottom of the SEC as of now.
Ole Miss, I mean, was really good at basketball last year. I don't know what happened to them
Yeah,
this
I
year.
really couldn't tell you. Ole Miss is kind of falling apart right now. I guess they still have Trinidad Chambliss, but
Hey, they could. I could see them winning a national championship in football this year. I'm not gonna lie to
Really
Chambliss. But
interesting.
anyways, we'll talk about that sometime down the road. But we got the Georgia Bulldogs next. We got Green Machine's favorite team.
Oh, really? Green Machine?
Yeah, he's a Georgia Bulldogs fan.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways,
He's gonna have to see this clip then.
I'm not gonna lie. Georgia at basketball it's just not nearly as good as what they are at football. Georgia is having a decent season for a basketball team, but this team just screams nothing exciting to me. They're just not very exciting at all. They don't do anything well. They play decent defense. They're kind of a slow paced offense. Jeremiah Wilkinson has been playing okay, but for the most part, this team is very similar to Auburn. I mean, this team obviously beat Kentucky. They obviously beat Texas, but they don't have very good wins. All the ranked teams that they played, they've lost to. So Georgia's floor is around the 64. I don't see a possibility where they get in the first four. I think they'll be a last four bye team. But I mean, their ceiling is probably around a 32. I don't think they'll win a first round game, but you will probably be a 10 or a 10 seed. So I think anything is possible with 7 and 10 matchup. I don't think they'll win though, but 32 is a fair ceiling for Georgia.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I don't really have anything to say. Georgia, they're kind of just there. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
they're gonna just somehow get in. Um, I no one's gonna watch their tournament game. I almost promise you. We'll probably be watching it on the top of the screen with all the rest of the scores
Yeah,
for whatever game I'm watching. But yeah, this team just is weird. They're good and they're really bad. So all at the same time.
yeah,
So I completely agree. Round of 64 is the floor. Round of 32 is the ceiling because anything is possible in March. So
yeah. Obviously, Georgia started off really hot at the beginning of the season. I
yeah,
I didn't know what I was looking at when I saw that they were one of the best in the SEC.
yeah, they were ranked for a time. What's
But
up, Chad? Welcome
anyways,
back.
they're just not a good team. Georgia
Yeah,
is not a
it's
good
not.
basketball team. I will stand by that. So moving on to this is where we actually get to the teams that are worth talking about because Auburn and Georgia aren't really
Yeah,
worth talking about. We are gonna go to the Texas Longhorns. Now, Texas, I really like Texas a lot. We both love Texas. Obviously, Texas is a very good basketball team. I know they're kind of down in the dumps as far as conference. They're behind Kentucky and A&M, which I don't really like those teams. But Texas has shown to me that they're a very scary team, and they will win a
yeah,
tournament game or two. Texas played Florida down to the wire. Florida scored a couple of garbage time points, but there was a time where Texas could have easily beat Florida in that game.
yeah,
So they lost to Georgia, which Georgia's going to be in the tournament. So I'm not going to knock on that loss too much. And they just overall have a very interesting resume. They beat Alabama. I don't know if I think they beat either Vanderbilt or Tennessee. So I love Texas. They have Dylan Swain, who's very underrated. They got Tremont Mark. This team has a very high-powered offense. Their defense is kind of I don't know about their defense, but their offense is great. So Texas' floor is around a 32. I think they're probably guaranteed to win their first round matchup. That's might be a hot take considering they're going to be an 8 or 9 seed, maybe 10. But I just like their odds in the first round a lot. So as their ceiling, I think they can make the Sweet 16. I was thinking about Elite Eight, but their defense is not good enough to put them in the Elite Eight. But they could definitely make the second weekend of March.
yeah. I mean, their offense is fantastic. I've been high on them for a long time. Um, I agree. Their ceiling is definitely the Sweet 16. The floor for me is the round of 32. I think they're going to win their first round, depending on the matchup. But I guess,
Yeah,
but
totally.
it's hard to predict these before we see the bracket come out. But I just think
Yeah,
they're good enough. They're scrappy enough. to win themselves a first round game and potentially pull off an upset on one of the top teams. So
Yeah. Now, obviously, that brings us to Kentucky now. I'm just gonna let you take away with Kentucky because obviously they're changing my mind as we speak. They are beating Vanderbilt, so
by
this is gonna really have
16,
this is gonna have a really big impact on
yeah,
how I view these middle of the pack SEC teams. But they obviously lost to Auburn, they obviously lost to Georgia, but they beat the Gamecocks from South Carolina. So, what do you got for Kentucky?
yeah. Kentucky's a weird team. I'm not gonna lie. They're playing pretty good basketball as of right now against Vanderbilt. But like I said the other day, I don't like Vanderbilt. I think they're overrated. Um, I'm gonna say Kentucky's one of those teams where like they could completely shock the entire world and go to the Elite Eight or something like that. But they could also just lose straight up in the first round. And I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised by either, honestly. Um, so for that, I'm going to say their floor is the round of 64 because of their inconsistencies. But I'm going to say that the Sweet 16 is a fair uh, ceiling for them because they've beaten some good teams. So they've got the
interesting.
experience. They've got some ranked wins. They're going to probably have another one, hopefully, after today for their sake. So I think also they're also for them to look out for them come the SEC tournament. So who knows? Chad
Kentucky
doesn't like
ain't
that
going
one.
nowhere. They're losing in first and
Chad
second
doesn't like that
round.
one. I mean, they're a hard team to predict. But it's Kentucky, so why not?
Yeah. So obviously with Kentucky, I agree with this person right here. I think Kentucky's bad at basketball. They're not a good basketball team as this year at least. They've been decent before, but Kentucky obviously is beating Vanderbilt right now, which the Vanderbilt's a ranked team, which I was really high on Vanderbilt, so I might have to knock Vanderbilt by quite a bit. But anyways, Kentucky has some really bad losses. They lost to UNC, lost to Louisville. Those are two really bad basketball teams. They're okay, but they lost to Gonzaga by how many? They lost to Gonzaga by 45 points. And if you lose to Gonzaga by 45 points, which you're probably going to end up playing a team like them, if not them, in the second round, I think that, I mean, this team,
Is
this is not
Kentucky
good.
projected like a 6 or something?
Yeah, they're projected
Okay.
a seven
Okay.
seed, but Kentucky obviously has to take it away. They're pretty good, but like I said, they're probably going to play Gonzaga in the second round, and Gonzaga beat them by 45 points. So I don't see a world where they win a second round matchup. Floor 64, ceiling 32. Simple as that.
'Kay.
Coda to Jameson? No. No idea what that means. Anyways, moving on to Texas A&M, the Aggies. This team is very interesting. Obviously, they were probably the best SEC team at one point in time.
Yeah.
Now they're falling apart, and I mean, if it wasn't for such a hot start, they wouldn't even be in the tournament because they're playing like a top 100 basketball team. So A&M has an okay resume. They don't have anything special. They obviously lost to Arkansas, and so they lost to Vanderbilt, Missouri, Florida, Alabama. So every single good team they played, they lost to,
Yeah.
and I think that's just kind of where they're at. I think they're a good team, but not a great team. And like, if you can't beat a single ranked team in the SEC when there's like five ranked teams or six ranked teams, like you don't really deserve to be high in my video today. So Texas A&M, their floor and ceiling 64. I feel like that may be really dumb to say, but I don't think they win around a 64 game. I think they're pretty overrated too if they're started the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, complete agreement. I think you you hit everything right there. I don't think they're going to win a game in the tournament. They're not a good team. They've lost 5 games this month. Like that's insanity. Like, and they're still like sixth in the SEC, seventh in the SEC. Um, they're just not good. They're not a good basketball team. Um, I don't think they're going to have a good conference tournament either. They're not going to enjoy their SEC tournament in Nashville. Um, so yeah, Texas Tech ceiling and floor, or not Texas Tech, Texas A&M floor and ceiling is round of 64.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair for them. Now, this team obviously is we got the Vanderbilt Commodores out, and this team obviously disappointing me today. I'm not gonna lie. They they're getting their butts kicked by Kentucky,
Yeah,
which
down 19 now.
they're down 19 to Kentucky.
Now they're down
They
20.
they just look not like a great basketball team. They're really good at the beginning of the season, and I just hate to be wrong about this team, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was really high on this team, and I'm starting to lose confidence in them as we speak. So, but obviously, this team is probably going to be off the pole. Obviously, they're going to be like a 6 seed. So, I think that this team has what it takes. Though I don't think they can win it all, but they're still really high in KenPom. I mean, they've played a lot of bums early in the year, like you said, but this team, I don't know if they're legit or not. I'm starting to think that they're just a mid SEC team, but I mean, mid SEC teams as of lately do decent in the tournament still. So I think that their floor, I think they can honestly lose in the round of 64 at this point. But their ceiling, I don't know what their ceiling is. It could be honestly, it's really hard to pick a ceiling of this team. So I'm just gonna say their ceiling is Elite Eight. I think they can make the Elite Eight because they'll be a 6 seed more than likely. But their floor is around the 64, so that's probably the highest floor and ceiling of a team. So besides Iowa State,
Yeah. I will say you hate being wrong about this team. Well, I love being right about this team. I hate this team. This team is terrible. They're overrated as bonds, and it's showing on national television on ESPN as we speak. This team has not really beaten anyone other than Alabama, I'm pretty sure, and you aren't very high on them. So for me, Vandy is one of those teams where they're going to be the team that gets upset, I believe. So I'm going to say that their floor is the round of 64 and their ceiling is the round of 32. I do not think they're going to make it very far.
interesting. Obviously, I'm probably being a little bit generous with this team, but they're probably going to be moving down in the bracketology video on Monday, so most likely. So
Yeah.
next up, I'll let you talk about the Missouri Tigers. This team is very fascinating, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they're very good. So what do you have to say about them?
Yeah, this team's really weird to me because they're literally definition of well, we can beat anybody, but we can also lose to anybody.
Yeah.
Like one day they're beating Florida, the next day they're losing to Ole Miss. Like literally in a week span, you're beating the top of the SEC and then you're losing to the literal bottom. So this team is really weird. Uh, so automatically to me that says their floor is around a 64. But the fact that they can beat anybody tells me that their ceiling is the Sweet 16 because you can beat anybody, but you can't just beat anybody consistently. So they can maybe upset a team or two, but other than that, I think they'll find a team that is much better than them, and they'll probably get beaten pretty bad.
What'd you say their
So
ceiling was?
Sweet 16.
Okay. Now, the Missouri Tigers, in my opinion, I actually really like them. They're really underrated.
Yeah.
They have a really good coach. I don't know what the coach's name is. I forgot his name, but I love their coach. He has a lot of energy on this team, and they got a lot of talent. like T.O. Barrett is very good. Mark Mitchell obviously played for Duke. He's one of the better college basketball players. Jaden Stone hasn't been playing good basketball at all lately, but Jaden Stone is still a valuable piece to this team. So Missouri obviously is okay in KenPom. They've obviously been okay at SEC play, but they're really hot in my opinion at the moment. They've been definitely picking up the pace. So they lost to Arkansas, but that was a very close game to Arkansas. I think they had a chance of winning that. They play Tennessee tonight. So no, hold on. Let's see.
No, they played them already. They
They already
lost.
played
They
them.
beat
I
Tennessee
have
on
their old
Tuesday.
schedule.
Remember?
Let's see. Yeah, they did. Hold on,
They
let me
play
see.
Alabama tonight. Which
Yeah,
wow.
that's who they
Oh no,
play.
that's Tennessee. Tennessee plays Alabama tonight. Are we talking
They
about
play.
Tennessee?
No, we're talking about Missouri.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Anyways,
I was
with
looking
Missouri,
ahead.
they're going to be a first four in team. Probably, I'd imagine. There's a chance they get a last four bye, but
Yeah.
their floor is going to be a first four. I think there's a chance to get in the first four. It's 50-50 at the moment. But their ceiling, I think they have a very, very, very high ceiling. I think that, I mean, I'm just high on them because they've been consistent lately. Like, they obviously can beat any team, and they've won their last, how many games? 3, 4, 5.
They've
They've
won a
won their last
few in a
6 out of
row.
games. Last
Yikes,
out of
that's pretty
6 out of
good.
8 games. So this
And
team,
two of them have been ranked wins. Like so.
yeah, this team is showing consistency, which obviously they couldn't show earlier this year, and I'm really liking it because of that. So
Mm,
I think since they're getting it together and they're getting T.O. Barrett involved more, I think that this team is an Elite Eight team. I think they could be an Elite Eight team. So their floor is a first round. Their ceiling is an Elite Eight. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't hate that.
moving on to the team that just beat Tennessee, and it is the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, Tennessee is a very weird team, similar to Missouri. I feel like all these teams towards the middle of the SEC, I mean, it's just a lot of bias. Honestly, you can't really predict how they're going to do. So you kind of have your own opinions on each of these middle SEC teams because they've
Mhm.
all beaten up on each other. You don't really know what you're going to get from them coming March. And Tennessee is really in the same boat as all those other teams. Tennessee has a lot of talent. They have Gillespie. They have Nate Amend. But their defense, I mean, hold on, let me see. Is it their defense that's not great? Tennessee. Do they drop that far in KenPom?
Are they really?
I think they. I don't see them. Do they? They're. I can't find them in KenPom. They're 20. Yeah, they dropped quite a bit in KenPom. They were 12 or
Interesting.
13 in KenPom, and now they are down to 20. Their offense has been struggling quite a bit lately. So it was. I thought it was one of the offense. Their defense always great, and it's the offense that has been slacking a lot lately. Their defense is 14, but their offense is like 40. Tennessee is just very weird, in my opinion. Now, obviously, they've gained some steam over the last month for beating like the last four teams besides Missouri. They've gotten a lot of traction from that. But I just look at it from a bigger picture, and the matter of fact is they lost Kentucky twice, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a deal breaker for me. Is if you lose to Kentucky twice, I don't really have that high of expectations for you. So Tennessee Tennessee could lose in the round of 64. Their ceiling is the Sweet 16. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's a very fair ranking for them.
Yeah. I agree completely on that. Same ceiling, same floor. This Tennessee team to me, I like what they're doing right now, but to me, I don't know why. They're just giving me vibes of we're gonna lose in the first round. I don't know why, but I'm just getting that vibe.
Yeah,
Um, but on the other side, I could easily see this team shocking some people and making it to weekend number two. So, um, very interested to see how this team does in the SEC tournament. To me, it looks like they're going to get a double bye. So we'll see how they play after not playing for two rounds. So
yeah.
That's all I got for the Volunteers.
What's your prediction for UNC versus Virginia Tech tonight? That's tough.
That's gonna be a good game, man. It's an
I don't know
important
because
game for both teams.
Virginia Tech, in my opinion, is very hot. They've been kind of climbing up the ACC. They've been gaining traction. Obviously, they've beaten UNC before. I think they beat UNC a couple. What is it? Like a month or two ago, they beat UNC. Is it
Um,
at? Is it at? Where's it at? Let me see. You know where the game's at? Is it in Tech
hold
or
on.
UNC?
It's in UNC tonight.
I think UNC. They haven't played. Hmm. Who did they play twice then that I was thinking that they lost to once?
Um,
It was NC State. It was NC State that
NC
they played.
State. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Virginia Tech is fighting for the bubble. NC or UNC is
UNC's
fighting for good position in the ACC tournament. I'll pick UNC. I mean, I'm not really confident in it. I just think that they're just not really elite without Caleb Wilson, and I just think Virginia Tech is a team that can beat any team in the ACC. Like, I really like them. I really like SMU. Those are some teams that are sleepers in the ACC, but I think they'll get the job done tonight. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, freaking UNC, they're playing well-ish, I guess if you want to call it that. Trying to just play so you can get um, Caleb Wilson back.
Yeah, he'll be
So
back in
they
like a week or so.
yeah, they need to get him back. So they need to win so that they can get in good position. So
Yeah,
uh, I think they will win the game. They're at home. It's a night game at UNC. They usually kind of lock in for those. So
yeah.
I'm
I'll
going to take
say,
North Carolina.
yeah, I'll say this: if Seth Tribal or puts up like 20, they'll win. If he doesn't do great, if he averages like 11 or like anything under 15, in my opinion, it's gonna be hard for for them to get past Virginia Tech because nobody can score the basketball outside of Seth on that team at the moment, at least in my opinion. So
Yeah.
that is that. Moving on, where we at? We are at the Arkansas Razorbacks, and this team is very good. Let's just say that they obviously lost to Alabama like a week ago, but that was a great loss. They only lost by 2 points, double overtime at Bama's home floor. I mean, it doesn't get much closer of a win than that. So they play Florida at 7:30, which I'm
That's a
I'm gonna be
really big game.
I'm gonna be watching that probably. So I mean, they obviously beat Louisville, beat Tennessee, beat Vanderbilt. Like they've stood up to the task on all these big games. And I mean, if they lose to Florida, I mean that's probably going to be their only big game that they've lost besides Alabama. So this is a team that really steps up in big games when it matters most, and I think there's a good chance they do with Florida. And last year they stepped up big time when they beat St. John's and made it to the elite. Who did they lose? They lost to Florida in
Yeah. Yeah,
the
it's a rematch.
Sweet 16. So I really like this team. I have high expectations for them in the tournament. I think their floor is a Sweet 16. I think that they're just very good,
Yeah,
and they
man.
play in the SEC. That's why they have a lot of losses. But I think their ceiling can be the Final Four. I think they can get there, and I don't know if they get to a championship game. Probably not, but I really like what I'm seeing with them.
Yeah, me too. I really like Arkansas. I've liked them a lot the last 2 seasons. Darius Acuff is a freaking stud. I agree with you, man. I think they're a team to look out for a potential Final Four dark horse just because of Darius Acuff, man. He's a freaking stud. I think he can, without a doubt, carry this team there. Uh, and I think, yeah, their ceiling is Final Four. But this is kind of interesting because Coach Cal kind of has a knack the last few years to lose in the first round. Uh, but I think this team's good enough not to lose in the first round. But I think if they get a bad second round matchup, that could be not very good. So I'm going to say
Yeah.
that their floor is the round of 32. So to me, that's my biggest like difference in ceiling and floor so far.
Yep. Next up, we got two teams to discuss in this video, and these are two of the teams that I feel like a lot of people are wondering,
Yeah.
like, what's their tournament projections going to be or looking like. So obviously, to start it off, we will go with Alabama. Florida obviously is up next to champs, which we'll probably discuss quite a bit on them. But Alabama is very, very interesting. They got a lot of credit for beating Arkansas. Congratulations. But besides that, they haven't done much this season. And they're a really good offensive team. Their defense sucks. They have great guards with Aiden Holloway and Amari Allen and Falon, or I butchered his name. But anyways, he's a good player. I mean, I'm just concerned with their defense. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, they barely beat LSU. They beat Mississippi State, but their defense, man, it's just not a good defense. It hasn't been improved at all. I haven't seen adjustments to their defense. And come tournament time, if you get a team that can stop that offense, I think it's easily wraps. So while they're a great offensive team, while they have great guards with Aiden Holloway, this team is just not really a March Madness bracket buster, in my opinion, especially as like a 4 seed. That's going to be tough as a
Yeah.
4 seed. So Alabama's floor is 32. Their ceiling is Sweet 16. So same ceiling and floor practically, but
Yeah. Alabama's always one of those weird teams where you're like, oh yeah, this team can definitely make a run or something, which I think they
yeah,
can make a run. But to me, they just shown too much inconsistency in the last couple of years. And this season, they're like you said, their defense is not fantastic. Um, but Darius Akers dropped like what 48, 49 on them.
yeah, he had a
Um,
49.
which obviously he's a great player. So, but to me, in college basketball, if you score over 40 points, that's a defensive issue. Um, and I still think they're a good team. I still think they're going to do some pretty interesting stuff. But I think that their floor is going to be a round of 32. I think I'm pretty confident they'll win their first round matchup. But I think that their ceiling is going to be the Elite Eight. I just don't know how
Interesting.
well they're going to be able to compete with those better teams up there. Now they can definitely beat a good team, but I don't know if they can beat a good team consistently. So
Yeah. All right. The last team that we're going to discuss in today's video, it's obviously the champs, the Florida Gators. Everybody's really hot on them right now. They're the hottest team in basketball. I'm just going to say it. They're they're getting a lot of traction, and rightfully so. Obviously, last year was incredible what they did, and they might honestly they're back at 2 seed right now. There's a chance that they might be able to steal 1 seed if they win the SEC tournament and if they win their games out. So Florida is in a very good spot to succeed right now. Thomas Hawk and Alex Condon are leading the way. They have the best front court in the country, one of the best rebounding teams in the country. But I get concerned with this team, and it is due to the guards with Xavier Lee and Boogie
yeah,
Fland. They are decent guards, decent facilitators, play decent defense, but they cannot shoot the three ball well. And this team is one of the worst in the NCAA at shooting the 3 pointer. They're barely above 30%, and they're just completely different in the backcourt than what they were last year. So I honestly don't think this team can win it all this year. A lot of people think they can win it all again and go back to back, but the odds of a team winning it back to back like that hasn't happened since UConn.
yeah.
I mean, which I was quite a while ago.
Those UConn teams were just insane, though.
Yeah. So Florida, I just don't trust the guards. I haven't been trusting the guards all season long. They've been decent, but the guards are what's going to lose them the tournament. Obviously,
Yeah,
last year they had Will Richard, Elijah Martin, and Walter Clayton, three NBA players. Elijah Martin's doing decent on the Warriors, I think. So,
yeah,
I mean, I just don't see it in this team this year. Nothing screams. This team just doesn't scream back to back. So their floor is still pretty high, though. I think it's Sweet 16. I think their ceiling can be Final Four. I think they can get to the Final Four because they just are really good coach team. Todd Golden's one of the better coaches in the game, but I just don't think they can make a championship or win it all this year. It may be hot, but I just don't see enough from this team yet.
Yeah. I don't see it either with this team. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know if any of the teams from the SEC can win the national championship this year. I think the national champion will most likely come from the Big 12, Big 10, or ACC. Maybe a mid major, but who knows? They're kind of weird. So, yeah, Florida, they're a good team. I definitely agree with you in saying that they can make the Final Four. Uh, I don't see them doing that, but I mean, if they get, I would like to see them play like a Duke or have a rematch against Houston just to see how well they would match up with them. But uh, yeah, and I think that their floor is kind of tough. They're playing really well, so I'm gonna say that their floor is gonna be Sweet 16 just because of how well that they're playing right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up today's video. I think we got above an hour again.
Yeah, we just hit it. We
We
got
just hit an hour,
61
so
an hour and a minute.
we've got all these 4 conferences done in 2 hours. So that's pretty good in my opinion. I don't think we'll do mid majors. I don't really want
Yeah,
to.
probably not.
We'll talk about UConn, but I think UConn is the ceiling of Sweet 16. So I'm just going to leave that at
Yeah,
that. I think Gonzaga is very similar too. And then besides those two teams, not really any other team has a chance this year.
yeah,
I mean, so, but we'll be back at it with our bracketology predictions probably on Monday because we've been doing them
yeah.
on Monday for past couple weeks now. So we'll get that out to you after the poll comes out on Monday. Hoping stuff changes today, hoping some upsets happen. I mean, it's looking decent for so far, but
Yeah.
obviously a lot of SEC games got to be played tonight. Arkansas and Florida got to play, and there's just a lot of games going on. So
Mhm.
we'll be back at you with all those games on Monday. But until then, see you boys. See you guys soon. We'll see you guys on Monday.